Working hard for big rewards can make your life fulfilling, but working hard for no reason at all could make you go insane. Actors can be a little crazy, but if you saw the best performance of your life get disrespected and deleted, you'd go crazy too.
Are you okay?
No.
In 2003, Adrien Brody scored his first Academy Award nomination for his work as a pianist in the movie The Pianist. But he could have gotten the nom much earlier if anyone had actually gotten to see his work in Terrence Malick's 1998 war epic, The Thin Red Line. Most war movies are all about bombastically killing the other guy with bombs and bayonets.
I blew my butt up!
But The Thin Red Line is much more philosophical. It's about what war feels like and how it changes you as a person. A meaty role for a young actor with something to prove. But you know what they say, war is hell. Even the fake wars they make for movies.
So now we in rewrites, right?
Where you going?
Let's rewrite it.
Adrien Brody thought he scored the role of a lifetime when he was cast as The Thin Red Line's main character. He was at the center of the screenplay and the book it's based on. But what he didn't know was that Terrence Malick tends to find his movies in the editing room. And the movie Malick found was essentially Brody-less.
He edits his films in such a way that he cuts everybody out of them, you know, the story of Adrien Brody.
Yeah.
Didn't even know.
Going to the premiere and
He was the
not
lead.
seeing himself on the
He was the
screen.
lead in the movie.
Yeah.
Making things worse, no one told Brody about how cut down his role was. He promoted the movie thinking it was his big break. He was excited and talked about how proud he was of his performance. He brought his parents to the premiere and then watched, completely embarrassed, as almost none of his work showed up on screen. The fact that he didn't quit acting right then is astounding. Luckily, Brody got a second chance at showing off his chops in another philosophical war movie, 2010's Predators. Oliver Stone's 2008 movie W, a madcap look at the life and presidency of George W. Bush, could have easily gotten a lot of love at the Oscars. Stone's work had previously been up for 11 Oscar nominations, and biopics tend to be perfect Oscar bait.
What about Axis of Evil?
Axis of Evil? Evil? Yeah, I like the ring of that.
Among the ensemble cast was Richard Dreyfuss as Dick Cheney, turning in a performance that Dreyfuss described in the Nathan Rabin book My Year of Flops as being like a great meal. I'm really good. And he's humble too. Having won Best Actor for his work in Mr. Holland's Opus, it's entirely possible Dreyfuss's version of Dick Cheney could have secured Dreyfuss another Oscar. But according to Dreyfuss, Oliver Stone kept whittling down Cheney's role till there was nothing left. Which makes sense. If they wanted to focus on Cheney, they would have called the movie D. Still, Dreyfuss may have been right to be disappointed. 10 years later, Christian Bale ended up winning a Golden Globe for his version of Cheney in the biopic Vice.
And I believe this can work.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close is one of the boldest pieces of Oscar bait ever made. It tells the story of a precocious boy going on a scavenger hunt left for him by his late dad, who tragically died on September 11th. The movie was described by some reviewers as exploitative, cheap, and calculated emotional blackmail. So of course it was nominated for Best Picture. Starring America's sweethearts Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock, the movie also had a prominent role for James Gandolfini, at least originally. While Gandolfini's name was on the initial poster, when the movie came out, he was nowhere to be seen. Reportedly, his romantic subplot as a love interest for Sandra Bullock tested poorly with audiences. Sorry, Sandy, no one wants to see you cheating on the ghost of Tom Hanks. Gandolfini tragically died in 2013, with some of his last work from this movie left on the cutting room floor. But maybe it's for the best. It takes a pretty bad movie to make 9/11 cringe.
Oh, I think a lot of things are odd. People tell me I'm very odd all the time.
If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that Ryan Gosling is the best. He's a great actor. He's a perfect guy. He looks like he was grown in a vat of wildflower nectar while angels sang his soul into being. On the other hand, Mark Wahlberg was pretty good in The Departed.
What's the matter, smartass? You don't know any f***ing Shakespeare?
Okay, Mark was pretty good in The Lovely Bones too, but we can only wonder what Ryan Gosling would have done with the part. Playing a grieving father who unknowingly lives right next to the man who killed his daughter. So why didn't Gosling get the role? Well, he did have it, but he ended up getting fired for being too fat.
Seriously? It's like you're photoshopped.
Yes, seriously. After Gosling got the role, he decided the character should be sort of hefty, so he intentionally gained 60 pounds by chugging melted ice cream. Damn, Ken. But he didn't really ask anyone if this was what they wanted. When he showed up on set, director Peter Jackson hated the look so much that he just decided to hire a new actor. This guy. Gosling told the Hollywood Reporter that he lost the job and went home, saying, "Then I was fat and unemployed." Celebrities, they're just like us. So what would the Lovely Bones have looked like with Gosling? Given the commitment he put into the character before it even started filming, my guess he would have given it everything he had. A little soulful Blue Valentine, a pinch of dead-eyed Drive, a splash of robo-dead-eyed Blade Runner. It could have been good, is all I'm saying. Here's a tough question. Who would do it better, Robert Downey Jr. or Joaquin Phoenix? That's like asking if Ghostbusters 2 is better than Ghostbusters 1, and the answer is no, it's not. Oh, and also Joaquin Phoenix. Sorry, it's true. Phoenix was more or less the perfect choice to navigate the hallucinogenic world of Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent Vice. In the movie, Joaquin Phoenix plays himself. I mean, he plays a drug-addled man scouring the bowels of Los Angeles to fulfill a work commitment. But once upon a time, all that drug-addled bowel scouring could have been done by Robert Downey Jr. Downey told MTV in 2011 that he was likely going to headline Inherent Vice. But by the start of 2013, Paul Thomas Anderson had opted to reunite with Joaquin Phoenix instead. Downey revealed to GQ in May 2013 that he ended up losing out on the role because Anderson thought he was too old. But honestly, he could have pulled it off. Sure, he does great as a fast-talking know-it-all, but look at movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, or even A Scanner Darkly, and it's clear that Downey's got the kind of reactive comedy timing that he would have needed for Doc Sportello. Good enough for an Oscar nom? Maybe. I mean, he's probably the only actor in history to get Oscar nominations for doing whiteface and blackface, so really, what won't they nominate him for? If you don't remember the plot of the 2005 political thriller Syriana, welcome to the club. It's about... let me pull up Wikipedia real quick. A guy who gets a filthy big oil contract as payment for his son getting electrocuted in a pool. Meanwhile, a CIA agent is trying to assassinate an Iranian prince, only to later change his mind and get himself blown up by an American drone, all while a Pakistani youth who's looking for a job makes friends with some extremists who want to bomb an oil tanker. Meanwhile, alright, look, it was nominated for a bunch of awards, stars most of Hollywood, and clearly wasn't that memorable. The end.
It's complicated.
Of course it is, Mr. Barnes.
The movie almost had yet another storyline starring Michelle Monaghan. She was fully committed for the part too. She told Interview magazine in 2016 that she went every possible extra mile for the role. Ultimately, producers George Clooney and Steven Soderbergh reached out to her to let her know they loved her work, but that it wouldn't make the final cut. Given how many narrative plates Syriana was juggling, it's understandable that something had to get deleted eventually. However, given the praise Monaghan received for her work, you have to wonder what kind of top-notch acting audiences were deprived of seeing in Syriana. If you want your movie to win an Oscar, you call Daniel Day-Lewis. Everybody knows this. In an alternate universe, he might have gotten another trophy for playing the lead in Black Mass. Released in 2015, Black Mass saw Johnny Depp in the leading role as Whitey Bulger, aka the guy you should never share a recipe with.
It's a recipe.
No.
In early 2010, Day-Lewis was signed to play the notorious crime boss. Eventually, the notoriously picky actor opted to leave, possibly due to director Jim Sheridan, best known for Get Rich or Die Trying, leaving the project as well. We will probably never know the exact specifics of what Day-Lewis's version of this Boston gangster would have looked like, but it's not hard to imagine Day-Lewis as a ruthless crime boss. At the very least, his bald cap would have looked a little more convincing. Adrien Brody isn't the only actor whose time got wasted by Terrence Malick. In Malick's 2011 movie The Tree of Life, Sean Penn plays an older man wandering around his office and going home from work. He spends the whole day lost in thought, daydreaming about his family, his childhood, and the history of the entire universe.
Guide us to the end of time.
It's an incredible movie, but that's pretty much all he gets to do, is just sit around and think. According to Penn, the original screenplay gave him a lot more to do, with a more conventional narrative than the final movie had. He also said that Malick didn't really tell him what the plan was, which means that in all those scenes of Sean Penn looking around lost and confused, trying to figure out the point of being alive, he's not really acting at all. Samuel L. Jackson has been in almost 200 movies, and he's only been nominated for an Oscar once. I'm kinda shocked. Sure, they weren't all great, even Vin Diesel didn't want to be in XXX State of the Union, but somewhere between Unbreakable and The Hateful Eight, you'd think Jackson would at least get a nod from the Academy. There's one particular performance that Jackson personally feels he should have received some Oscar attention for, his role in A Time to Kill. I know what you're thinking, he is in A Time to Kill. Also, what is A Time to Kill? Way back before Twitter Twitter and Qdoba, it was 1996. Matthew McConaughey and Sandra Bullock were two rising stars. Everybody wanted to make legal thrillers based on John Grisham books, and Joel Schumacher had some, time to kill between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
All right, everyone. Chill.
It was a messed up time to be alive, and nobody misses it. All of this gave birth to A Time to Kill. Jackson played Carl Lee Haley, a grieving father who gets arrested after he shoots two men who assaulted his daughter. Jackson told Vulture that there were multiple scenes that expanded on his character's fractured psychological state, including a powerful speech that he said at everyone on set in tears. Not only were all of those scenes cut, they were cut without Jackson's knowledge and completely changed his character, turning him from being a nuanced and broken man into more of a revenge-driven plot device. It's gotta suck to put in a powerful performance only for it to get Infinity Ward behind your back.
Well done.